on week 4 of our Instagram Live from the Justice Coalition during Freedom Fund. And let's see, looks like maybe we're getting some progress, maybe, hopefully. A quick update while we're waiting for Kim to join us here. We have passed the $8,000 mark. So there's Kim. Hi, Kim.
Hey.
You are outside. It looks like we might be having a little trouble with your reception.
It is bad here today. I don't know why.
There, we can see you a bit clearer now.
Okay.
Okay, good. Well, welcome.
We will muddle through, Krista.
We will get to talk to each other, and hopefully that will benefit someone else, and that's the goal, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Well, I am glad to see you today. I was just giving a quick update. We're trying to raise $25,000 to match the $25,000 from True Organic, and we have just passed the $8,000 mark. So that's about a third of the way, right? So doing good. We still have a few weeks. That goes through the end of October. And so we're using these Instagram Lives as an opportunity to share about the work so that our donors know what we're doing with their dollars, and our volunteers know what the difference their time makes. And it has felt to me like a little bit of a behind the scenes moment, because I think for most people, they don't know what the day in, day out looks like. They come into a class, or they see us at their church, or, connect at an event, and we give them these snippets. And so to be able to say, these are the conversations we're having all the time, I hope is beneficial to people who are interested.
Yeah.
So why don't we start by just giving a little introduction? Tell us who you are, Kim.
It's a loaded question.
I know, it is.
So I'm Kim Contreras. I have been on staff with World Impact for 30 years and have lived off of Belmont, had the privilege to live off of Belmont in various neighborhoods during that time. And my husband and I have lived in Hidalgo for almost 22 years now. We have 2 kids. One is away at college for his freshman year, and that's Ian. He's 18. And then my daughter, Sophia, who is 13, soon to be 14, really going on probably 25, but all that fun and junior high happening at our house.
That's wonderful. So I want you to say a little bit more for people who might be watching and are not from Fresno, or maybe are newer to Fresno. How would you describe your neighborhood? What do you love about living where you live?
Yeah. So I think it's Richard Burrell that calls it high opportunity neighborhood, and lots of diversity, just a real sense of community. People are out yards, you see folks, you can wave. A lot different than my growing up, where you drove in through a garage door and then it shut, and you kind of had to really work hard to get to know neighbors. It's also a neighborhood, though, that experiences a lot of poverty and sometimes has been under-resourced. So we are community school, 70% trans, all that goes with that. So during the years, we've done a lot of different things to just learn about the community, to just figure out what does it look to, and how to be in that community and participate in seeing, the shalom and peace of God be in that place, and to join God where He's already been at work for many years.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's right. We don't bring God with us anywhere.
No,
join
thank goodness.
God. Thank goodness. That's right. Oh, that's great. For the Justice Coalition, you have served a really important role, a really beneficial role, maybe even a better way to say that, because you understand trauma and have done quite a lot of work in growing your own understanding, learning ways to cope and support those who have experienced trauma. And so, for anyone watching that doesn't know, Kim has been our trauma specialist for the last several years. I wonder when you first, I don't know the date. Do you know the date when you first started in that role? No.
No. Mean
Pre-pandemic for sure.
numbers.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so what are some of the things that you have been doing with and for the Justice Coalition in the last several years?
Yeah, so partnership is everything to Manuel and I. We really see the importance of working with folks who are doing similar things. Um, and I would say it has been just a joy to be able to bring what we've learned as a family, as a ministry, in our own personal life to those that haven't maybe had those tools before. So art thinking is probably one of my favorite things that we've been able to do, which is just to invite survivors and really leaders in the community that are working in that movement, all of us together doing our own good work and looking at how art can open up our brain in a different sort of way, because trauma is stored where we don't have words. So things happen in that space, and that's one of the reasons we lose our voice and our agency when we go through a traumatic experience, is because a lot of times we don't have the words to describe it or to tell people what happened. And so art thinking has been a way to help people process and to discover things for themselves about an experience without talk therapy, without having to describe it to anyone. They can say as much or as little as they want to say about their process. And so it feels really safe that way too. And so sometimes, at first folks don't feel like sharing much, but then as safety grows, and that's one of our big things, it's just to create safe spaces. Because once we feel safe in a space, we can access parts of our brain that we can't access when we're in that limbic reactivity. And so, we've done that with swimming and food and all the things that help people feel wanted and belonging, and just really trying to say, hey, we may look like we have it together because our story might not be the same as yours, but in reality, we're a lot more similar than we are different.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all been through some things, and we all have things to process. And so I think it's been a leveling place too, where those that work in the work can also work on something alongside someone that they're, quote, helping, but they're actually both able to enter into it. And I think that's really important too.
Yeah, I think that is a tremendous benefit that you continue to bring to the conversation, to those who are working in the field. I mean, you said right at the beginning, for this art thinking for survivors and also for providers. And I think there is often this idea that we're helping other people, and then we talk about self-care as if we're supposed to help people out of the trenches and then we go get our nails done like that. And I think it's a real misunderstanding of what
Yes.
self-care means for those of us who are supporters. Because I don't think we can, I mean, I think what we have seen over and over again is that we can't keep doing this if we don't address our own stuff.
That's right.
And it's so beautiful to be able to do that alongside somebody. Then it's no longer that I am the helper, it's that we are in community together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
How did
like
you,
how you said.
oh, good, yay. How did you first get started with this? How did even the issue of human trafficking come to your awareness?
It's interesting because even before I came to Fresno and was in college, just kind of asking the Lord, what was it that He had for me? I was already really reading and aware of, and our family had owned a duplex in an area of town that was under-resourced. And so as a kid, grew up going down there, and even at a very young age, just knew that there was different dynamics happening in my city from what I was experiencing in my own home, right? And so when I came to Fresno, I saw the women all over Blackstone and Belmont, and I was just like, there's got to be a way to build relationship. And I think that's really, for me, it had already kind of started even before I got here, and then seeing it so in front of you and living off of Belmont and passing that street, 10, 12 times a day and just going, Lord, there has to be something. And really, it's funny. He sneaks up on you because you think you're going to like stop and talk to someone. And that's not how it happened. It was actually the mom of a Bible club kid, got to know her and began to realize she shared her story as we, had barbecues and different things together, and began to go, oh, wow, this is part of your story, and 30 years ago, we didn't call it trafficking, right? We didn't have those words. And so getting to know her story, getting to know her son, having Bible study in her home, and then having her boyfriend, husband come out of jail, and really her telling me very clearly, we are not going to be able to see each other the same way. And I knew she loved Jesus. I knew she had a relationship with him. She wanted the Bible study at her house. She wanted her son to be at Bible club. And so it was just this really confusing time for me to understand that there was this other dynamic, that when he came back, she had to go back working. And the shame, the guilt, her inability to have a relationship with me after that, and to even try to care for her in that space just became impossible. It was really disorienting in my own faith journey, and helped me really walk with Jesus in a different way, because I had never experienced that kind of trauma or loss of a relationship to something that was so clearly damaging for the other person. So that was part of kind of my entry into that world. And then just stopping to talk to her, I'll never forget her telling me there's only two ways out of this, and it's death or jail. And just really praying like, Lord, that can't be our only options here. Like, we've got to have more options. And so I know, as people come into this work, where we are today, it can feel really overwhelming. But I think for me, it feels really hopeful, because we've never had this kind of resource, this kind of partnerships, this kind of connection to really getting the resources where they need to be given. And so I see a lot of hope. I see a lot of transformation and good movement happening in our city.
That's exciting. Yeah. Yeah. So many good things to hold on to there. Just that this is work that's been happening for a really long time, and it may look a little different. We may have better language for it now. But this isn't brand new. Yeah, it's lots of people have been engaging, and it is exciting that we have more available to us. I'm even thinking now of all the other partners that we have who wouldn't consider themselves anti-trafficking organizations. We met with the Boys and Girls Club yesterday. We work with Every Neighborhood Partnership. These are folks who are, I'm sure that nowhere in their mission statement does it say anything about human trafficking. But the work that they're doing is preventative, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we know women often have their first experience between 12 and 15. So if we can come alongside those vulnerable youth, and the boys as well, because it doesn't just happen to girls, and help them process what they're experiencing. And that makes me think, Krista, when you came and did the Love 146 class for our youth in our neighborhood, and how they were given an opportunity to see what trafficking was, to hear about the red flags, to share their stories in a really safe place. And I mean, it was gnarly teenagers doing gnarly work at times. We weren't sure what was getting through. But then when Christmas break happened, they were approached. A group of the girls were approached at the liquor store on Belmont and Fifth by a guy, offered them $350, which when you're, 14, that's a lot of money. Especially in my neighborhood, that's a lot of money. But they knew immediately what it was.
Yeah.
And because they weren't in a state of trying to figure it out, we were able to make a call that gave them, part of the license plate, the color of the car, those types of things. And I know that was empowering for them. Like, I know they felt like they were a part of a solution, And so I love how part of what we get to do, like you said, is to partner with these organizations, train them, help them have eyes to see maybe what they wouldn't see if they didn't know. and then to walk alongside our youth and our communities and be those voices and just that extra nudge of like, hey, I noticed you have a lot of cell phones. What's that about?
Yep.
Ask those questions. And then empower our youth to be really that first level advocate, because we know the teenagers aren't going to talk to us first a lot of times.
Yeah, right.
If their friend knows,
Yep.
they can ask questions. They can bring it to their attention and to people who can be helpful in that. So it's just, there's so many layers, right,
Yeah.
to what's going here.
Yeah, that's right. Another layer that you have been helping us with is, or maybe I should say, actually, I think it's more accurate to say we've been helping you, because I think you started this and we have come alongside, but you started reaching out to those who are working on Belmont. And so I think when I tell people about that, I often get the question, well, aren't you scared? Um, and so I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about what those street outreaches look like and why they're important.
Yeah, for sure. So I think one of our hearts too is to help the church be equipped to do ministry in hard places that are a little awkward and messy, and where I really believe we have a heart to be. Like, people want to do some of this stuff, but they ask those questions, am I safe? What does this look like? And, honestly, I can tell you that I think we've been doing it now 5 years. I think we're getting close to 5 years, and there have been some nights that have been a little bit
Mm.
harder, for sure. Or we've had to say, oh, you know what, I think tonight we need to pack it in earlier.
Yep.
But by and large, it is the hardest part about it is the awkwardness, and is just really facing your own awkwardness of walking up to someone you don't know and initiating a conversation and knowing that person may respond unfavorably to you, which all of us have some of those natural barriers to doing that stuff. But I think once we cross through that, we always have these unique opportunities. And we always say there's never the same night twice. Like, it really is true. Like, we've had nights where we've spent the whole time with one woman because she was so open and wanted to talk, and we were able to pray with her, able to get her resources. And then we've had nights where they won't talk to us at all. And part of that is we don't know who's watching them. We don't know what kind of issues might be happening for them. So we really try to be aware of body language and really be just super, let them set the conversation tone, right? Like, let them tell us what they can and cannot do. So it was it's a really important first level. What we've heard from our survivors is that it matters because it tells them that somebody does see them.
Yeah.
Because so many people drive by and they don't make eye contact, and they don't notice in any way that they're there, and they feel invisible. They say when that we come out, and it's such a simple thing, right? Like, we have a Starbucks gift card, we have some home baked goods. We give them a card that has information, but it's in such a way that it looks like it's a business. So it's protecting them, giving them the numbers they can call. And we've heard from one of the gals who came to our safe house a year after getting one of our cards that she held on to that card. And when she got back to Fresno, she called and she got help from one of our partners, and she actually ended up being in the safe house. She said that one of the things that kept her going and believing that she could call was no matter what city she was in, she kept running into people like us. She said, you guys are everywhere. And I just had to laugh because it's really true. The church has this incredible ability to be everywhere. And she has no clue that we don't live, in the city she was in.
That's right.
But she saw us as one group doing this work, and I love that because it shows how we can be unified in something and not even know, right?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. That's so good.
The last Friday of the month, men and women all are needed.
Yes.
And we will just say, like, we have so many people maybe go to the training and never actually make it to volunteer. And I just have to tell you, I think that's the spiritual, I don't know, of what it is, because there's so much in our own like inhibitions that are like, why would I, why would I do this? But if safety is the deepest concern, I will tell you, I haven't seen, not that it couldn't happen, but we haven't seen that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. You broke up just a minute there, so I just want to make sure that I repeat and then tell me if I missed something. That last Friday night of the month, we need men and women, and that we have had lots of people express interest, come and do training, and then not really follow through. So, and we recognize the spiritual oppression that can happen in that space.
Yes.
And so calling people to respond. Did I catch everything that you said there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about the internet. It's better outside than inside today, and I don't.
We just roll with it. That's no worries. Well, I will say, just from my experience, because again, we have been taking your lead in this, so I have been able to go out and be part of many walks. But I can say that it is not uncommon for me to get close to that Friday night and then think, I'm just so tired. Like there's just so much that's going on, and I don't know if I can really do it tonight. And I guess it's a little bit like working out for me. I've never once left and wished that I hadn't gone. At the end of it, I have always been myself so encouraged, so blessed to be part of a community of people who are genuinely trying to figure out how to love people well who have different lives, right? I mean, I I remember often this former student I had of mine who we started connecting later in life, and then at one point she said to me, "Your life is like a movie," because she had grown up in such a different environment, and I said the same thing to her. Your life is like a movie to me. It can be so different, and yet I find it really beautiful to be together with people in the mess of just saying, I don't really know the answer actually, but what I can do is ask the questions. I can come here and I can say, do you need anything?
Yeah.
How can I love you well?
Mm.
Can we give you a bottle of water? Can we connect you to resources? And then I've also had these experiences a few times where we show up and people are like, oh, it's you.
Yeah.
You guys were out here. We've been wondering where you are. And I mean, I've even been there where they ask for people by name. Where is she tonight? We were hoping we'd see her. And to me, that just speaks to the level of connection and the importance of that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I think you hit on something really well. Like it is one of those places where you show up and you really lay the results down. Like if you're looking to see women leave or you need to see something happen, then it's going to be a really frustrating ministry. But if you can come and leave the results down at Jesus' feet and just show up, what we say is presence matters.
yeah.
And we don't get to know the ends of those stories. We don't know where they were at when they called the number. We'll never know all the women who maybe made that call. We may not get to have a great conversation every time, but it's like trusting that what he said is true. And that is, if you will just go, I will go with you and I will watch over the results.
Yeah.
You know? And so it really is, I think, different in that way. You know, I worked with kids for a lot of years, and there's always a lot of instant moments of gratification in that, in a way, because you get the hugs, you get the I love you, you get the pictures given to you, you get the fun memories from that. And I will say, this isn't that.
Yeah.
You know, it really isn't. It really is. There are moments of that, and we celebrate those big because it might not happen for another year. But you get to do it with people. You know, as a team, I think we've grown closer together through these experiences. So there are those moments, but it just is different in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Changing our expectations, changing our idea of what success looks like.
Yep.
And I think you're right. We have, as a team, had some really good, important conversations that have shifted us. Oh, that's significant. I want to let you go here in a minute. But before I do, we talked about Belmont and the need for some folks to join us on that team. What is another way that people can help support survivors and those who are still in the life right now?
Right now. Um, so I think we're on a, I mean, what we entered in this conversation with is we're in a fundraiser, right? So we're asking you to consider what it would look like to join us in that, because if we could match all $25,000, that money goes so far in the hands of the Justice Coalition. You get your money's worth, and I think that that's a huge thing you can do right now. The other thing you can do is, if this isn't your thing, like you're like, yeah, I'm not sure about this, share it with a friend, because you've probably talked to someone who saw Sound of Freedom, who has some questions and wants to know, hey, what do we do next? Well, we would love to answer that. We would love to, point them in a direction. So we have a class, Understanding Human Trafficking, that you can even do online at your own pace. But we would love, if you have an organization or, youth leaders or people like that, we would love to come do a class. We'd love to come let them know how they can get these tools as well. And then I also think, if I can, just for a quick minute, we also have the EPIC project, which is reaching out to the buyers, which is super unique. And again, not one of those ones that you walk away every night going, oh yeah, that was so amazing. You might walk away really heavy-hearted, but we need men who are in that really solid place of being able to engage other men and really ask them to consider what it is they're participating in when they set up a date with a woman online.
Yeah.
And so one of our teams right now, honestly, we're combining teams because we didn't have enough to continue the second team. But the survivors have told us that one of the things they said to us is, what about the men? How come no one is trying to do anything about the buyers? Because as long as somebody's willing to buy, then there's going to be selling. And so we're really trying to honor.
Uh-oh. I think we may have lost her. Hold on a moment. While we're waiting for her to come back, let me just say that if you hear any of these things and you're interested, justicecode.org is our website. At the top, you should see a link for becoming a volunteer. And I would love for you to visit. I think actually you can go to justicecode.org/volunteers with an S at the end and pull up any information, including opportunities there. So we may have said goodbye to Kim. She might have lost her internet. But I just want you to know that there are so many ways for you to be involved at a variety of different levels. And one of the things that we didn't even mention yet is that we also are always in need of folks that would be willing to provide transportation, such as driving survivors to appointments, helping pick up their kids, a variety of things like that. So if that's something you're interested in, you might have some time to offer. We would love to get you equipped and trained. All of these volunteer options that we've talked about today, they do require training. And I know that you want to jump into something and get going, and we appreciate the heart behind that. And also, we value the people that we work with and for so much that we really need to make sure that everyone is well equipped. And we value you. We value our volunteers. We know what this work is like and how challenging it can be. So we just want to make sure that people are well trained before we send them out. And it matters to us. We want you connected for the long haul. So I hope that you heard something today that has given you a better understanding of what happens behind the scenes. And I hope that maybe you even have questions. So if you do, please feel free to send them to us. Our DMs are open. You can send us a message. You can send an email to info@justicecode.org. We would love to help you gain understanding and get better connected. And I hope that you'll share some of this information with your community as well. Thank you for being here. Kim, you will see this later. So thank you not only for joining me today, but for all of the wonderful work you do. Thank you for being part of our team. Thank you for allowing us to learn from you after so many years of experience. We are tremendously grateful. So thank you, everybody. Last reminder, you can donate today, justicecode.org/freedom fund. Have a good one. Thanks.